Okay, welcome back with Happy Chappy, and this is control. Um, what I've noticed is we get people that are very egotistic, that try to control everything. And when you've got that, you've got something that's going to collapse. It'll never work out. No matter how much you see it working, it will never work out. It will always fall. Um, and your problem is, as I see, is that ego. Because that ego is out for oneself. No matter how much you'd see people friendly or closeness, excuse me, you'll find that the ego is always that person wanting to be at the top, wanting to be in control of everything. Where someone below them, as they would see it, yet you would never be below them, would or may have a different view, and that view becomes an obstruction to their ego, whether it be right or wrong, because the more valuable it is, then the more wrong it is for their ego, because they want it to be them that had that idea, that creation, that recognition. And that's where the ego becomes the problem, because it's not that person, and it's not the person that has the ego that creates any of it. If you ever studied your own self and looked at how thoughts just pop into your head, where do they come from? You don't design them and make them up. You study in the area that you want to work for, but you don't put that all together as much as you think that you do. There was only one creator, and God Almighty, that puts everything together. So when you start running with your ego and believing that you're doing everything, then you're playing the fool. I'm thinking of cards, the tarot cards. And that's the card you play. And that's part of the game, playing the fool. As we've all played it in some form or at some time in our life. And it's overcoming that, overcoming the fool. I probably should do this for some of you. That might suit better. But anyway, I've been there, so why not? Look at that, it's even the bottom of the card shaped. Go to the top. So anyway, being the fool, overcoming that, and seeing that it's not us that creates it all. We have that choice, we have that desire, and God will bring us to that if we believe in Him and follow His course that He delivers to us. Being aware of God, of our Creator, of being aware of that communication we have with one another. and one another as beings, and collectively following that. And I see there's more people doing that now as there is a rise of Atlantis. And the ego is falling. So when we pass that, where I feel or see it is, in my way of viewing it, is getting past that ego, is getting out of playing that fool, of that following and purchasing and buying the next new thing because it looks good, or because Mrs. Jones has got it down the road or something like that. But the material side of things, chasing it. And if we could just let go and see that's just what we want right now because it looks great. But as I felt with myself stepping out of the fool and having that relationship with God, is that everything that I've seen and thought, oh, this would be great, that'd be great, and let it go, then, and followed that way of what God was showing me. It always brought me to somewhere better, to something better. Never always knew what was coming, but in a sense I could see it, feel it. And before I knew it, things that I'd done in the past arrived. Where I couldn't see that at the time, and how I could put everything that I was doing in the past and put that into one structure that formed everything for the likes of now, that formed my life for now. And that structure would be myself and who I am as a person, as a being, as a vessel of God, and what He delivered, which was best for me. Yet I still had that choice to go off and do my own thing with my ego until it got knocked back that many times that I could see that it wasn't my ego that was going to do what's best for me, because it kept making me fall and it kept making me sinful. So I chose to follow God, the creator of what was given to me, what was given to me every day, every moment, even now as we talk. I'm not putting these words in here, He's doing it through me as a vessel. Obviously, I do some part in it and take that part as the vessel, but it's not me. You see, I don't grab these words out of here and put them together and just put them out of here. They just come from there. And you can say subconscious mind and you put that program of thoughts in, but you don't put structure of sentences in. And everything that you do will reflect on your actions. So if you think of the process that keeps that running, you don't do that. You don't think about that. You don't think about the heart pumping and you breathing that oxygen, the lungs pumping that oxygen, and every other organ of the body and cell of the body, how it's running and keeping you doing what you're doing, like I'm speaking. We don't do that. Yet we think we're in control. We're nowhere in control. We're here to enjoy the experience of the vessel. That's what we're here for, and it's time we start doing it instead of trying to control it and fighting against God's wishes. He brought us here in these vessels to enjoy, to embrace the beauty of the physical part of life, and that it wasn't just spiritual, but yeah, it's all spiritual. But bring that spiritual side into a physical. So we create structures by moving that energy so fast, which is within us, that creates the structure of the body. So we don't really create anything. It's God creates everything through us. And when you sit back and you really think about it, you'll know that I'm correct. That what you believe in your ego has always taken you down a wrong path. And until you start following, then wee thoughts that just pop into your head, or that feeling you just instantly get. And until you start following that, and then what you'll see is you'll start getting delivered messages from that to direct you. And you could either choose with your ego or follow them messages. But when you follow them messages, and now just understand, your ego's going to battle to say that, no, don't do that. You can't do that. It's not going to want you to believe, but you have to believe you're not doing that God's doing it through you, and to follow that. Because if you go to do it and you believe it's all you just doing it, well, your ego's going to come crashing down, because there will be a fall. And there'll be many a fall until you get out of that ego and start following that godly way with belief and trust and having faith. And by recognizing it is recognizing them wee thoughts, that inspiration that just pops into you out of nowhere. And then the pattern of thoughts that comes from that. Your job is to keep focused on that, to keep focused on that path, so you don't go astray with the ego, which is when Satan kicks in. Because you're both sides. You are the good and the bad. And when you let the ego take over, you're letting the darkness come in. And ignoring God, the belief of who you are, your own existence. You're thinking that you run the whole system when you don't. You have little control over everything. As much belief that you believe that with your ego that you control it all, you lack a lot of control. You've got that choice to go down your own path, yes. And when you go down your own path, God will try to redirect you back onto the path of what's right. And when you keep ignoring it with your ego, you will keep falling until you start following that path in belief and having that faith that God has a better life planned for you. And when you see that and follow that inspiration that pops in here, and then thoughts come with that, and keep on that journey, on that path, then you will end up with a better life than you could ever create. Within here and out there. Now I'm just going by my experience. I can't force anyone to do anything or expect anyone to do anything. That is your godly right to do what you wish for or what you desire. I'm just sharing my story in what I know and what I felt and how my life has went and how I see it now. Through all my faults and how life is so good. It really is within me. The outside is amazing because even though the darkness is there and it's falling, but it's so amazing the happenings, seeing it, knowing it. And that's only because I've got that relationship with God. Or I wouldn't know shit. I'd be in my ego getting ready for the next fall. And I just want you to spread my word with you because I think we all should reevaluate ourselves. And it's something that I do regular myself to make sure I'm not stepping into that ego because it's very easily done. And it's always there. You've got always that want with the body that will send you thoughts up here. Yeah, go for it. It'll be good. I used to do drugs. I've tried different types, but I was more into weed. But yeah, it's like if someone had a new weed, a name or something to it, it sounded good. You could relate it to something else like strawberry. Like you'd be thinking how sweet strawberry is. But unless you're catching them thoughts, then you're just going to jump to it. And you're not even going to realize that you're thinking of the sweetness of that strawberry and how it's attracting you to it even more. So you're just gonna go get it. You're thinking, yeah, it'll be class. I'll enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it, so why wouldn't I enjoy it more now? That sounds pretty good. Like, there's so much you could add to that. Like, and so you do it, but why? Because the ego of the body and what it knows is gonna send you there with them thoughts to go and get it because that's what you're used to and that's what you know that's good for you in your ego. Yet God would be telling me, like, you've spent so long now without that weed, what's the big deal about a name of it? And you know what it is, and how it's just the same as everything else. It's just energy. And that you don't need that. You've enjoyed life much more without it. When you smoked it, you sat back and you didn't do anything. You closed off your brain. You closed off me, as in God. And I can look at that and think, yeah, I did. Uh, and then there was times that I would connect with God using cannabis. So I'm not knocking it in that way, but I'm just trying to use it as an example because I could go into deep meditations or just deep thoughts or sitting there. But my whole point is because of the ego, it took over the body instead of me having faith in God that He could deliver whatever I thought that I was getting from this cannabis to where it bring me. But everywhere it brought me, I could do that without the cannabis. But because it had a new name, it was like a new lift. And what you'll find is in life that the negative is always instantly the energy lift from it. Now, to get energy from something that's good, it's like you have to give 10 things to that one thing of energy. But these 10 things and 10 negatives will say they're sitting here, them negatives will just instantly come at you. But then they will fall and go back down to a lower than they ever were. So if you were here and them negatives lift you up to here, it's surely going to bring you way down to here by the end of them all. And you're going to be carrying them. until you clear them out of the body. Where you add 10 positive things and you're sitting here and you move to here. Them positive things, if you keep with them, they will keep rising up slowly. And for them to disappear, they will come down slowly. So you seeing the true value of it. Them instant hits or them negatives that seem so positive in the moment because it makes you feel excited will bring you lower than you'll ever have been. But if you use positive things, that you won't be getting them instant hits. Although I'm not saying that you can't get them, but they're not always going to be instant as the negative. So on the positive, if you realize how that operates in the motion of slowness, the strength of it, and how it can keep you positive, even if a negative happens. So if a negative kicks in now, even as it's rising, so that negative, as we like the yin and yang, will pull down on this. So we just add more to it. But because this is in slow action, the negative has little power over the positive, then all we have to do is add more to it and we'll rise higher than we ever rose in the first place. Hopefully you grasped that way of how I'm trying to put it out. As I say, it's all about the ego and letting go. Ego. So you're like you're saying go. Just go. Don't need you. And just let that faith come in to you and follow that. And I can promise that you'll be a lot happier. You'll be a lot happier. Don't be just jumping for them quick fixes, because as quick as they go up, they go down just as quick and lower too than what you were at the beginning. It's like a Mars bar. I remember, it's not that I studied much at school, but I remember it being mentioned when you eat a Mars bar, your energy will shoot way higher than it ever was. So your energy's here and it'll shoot away up to here, but within a half an hour or so, it's way down here. And that's the kind of thing that we do in life by using the ego. I should have used that probably at the start and just used that. But how fast it goes up and how fast it goes back down. And then we're stuck in that misery. If you watch the food that you eat even, you will see how it makes you feel. And you're acting out by your feelings. So if you start watching what you're eating even, you will see the difference that makes in how you're acting. Anyway, this wasn't supposed to be this long, but it is what it is. And this is Happy Chappy, and hopefully you've learned something from this, and thank you for listening, and love and peace.